Hello folks, Shin Tiger Curl here, that dude in the straw hat, bringing you yet the next part of my countdown to Pirate Warriors 3 Let's Play. On the last episode, we profiled the lying sniper of the crew, Usopp, and now we move on to the ship's cook, Sanji. As of course, like always, all the information provided here in these videos comes directly from the One Piece wiki. If you want to find out more about the characters, world, locations, and items of One Piece, head on over to One Piece Wiki and wander around for a little bit. You may find something you like. But if that's not your style, just read the manga or watch the anime. So, with that out of the way, let's get started. Blackleg Sanji is a pirate and the cook of the Straw Hat Pirates, and the former sous chef of Barati. He is officially the 5th member of the crew and 4th to join, doing so at the end of the Barati arc. Since he was born in North Blue, he is the first Straw Hat to not originate from the East Blue. He is one of the monster trio in the crew alongside Luffy and Zoro. His dream is to find the rumored All Blue, an ocean where all the waters from East, West, North, and South Blue meet, along with their wildlife, a chef's dream. His current bounty is 77 million berries. Personality. Sanji is one of Sanji's most easily noticeable characteristics is the calm, cool, and collected manner in which he carries himself. He tends to speak in a very composed manner, even in dire situations, and rarely acts without thinking. His demeanor in a lot of ways can be compared to that of a secret agent. This is amplified by the fact that he tends to wear a suit, very often enjoys a smoke, and in the anime they tend to play smooth jazz music with jazzy undertones when he speaks. He quite often makes comical exceptions to this, such as when in the presence of a beautiful woman or when angered by a crewmate, like Zoro. He is more perceptive than he seems, and often tells people what they need to hear instead of what they want. Hence, he is seen as one of the more hardened members of the crew, and can often be as scary as Zoro at times. Unlike Zoro, however, he is not afraid to show his emotions when the moment calls for it, and is entirely capable of crying or losing his temper, which results in Sanji's short fuse and subsequent beating of most villains and Luffy. In fact, a running gag has appeared since Luffy's fight with Jabra, during which he has stated that when he gets angry, he heats up. After this fight, when Sanji gets particularly angry at a villain, he appears to burst into flames. This occurs against both Absalom and Duval, during the latter examples and only in the anime. It is also seen when Luffy states that he became friends with Boa Hancock, a beautiful woman, when she appears to prevent a marine ship from sinking the Thousand Sunny. Though Sanji does seem like one of the more hardened members of the crew, he does not object to acting foolish on certain occasions, like dancing with the more immature members of the crew, Luffy, Usopp, Chopper, and Brook, or acting childishly excited in certain situations, like when he first visited Skypiea. He is also one who believes that afros give you power. He has a habit of separating himself from everyone else, such as times like these. When Luffy, Usopp, and Karoo were fighting Mr. 3, Miss Golden Week, Mr. 5, and Miss Valentine, Sanji got back to the Going Merry and found Mr. 3's hideout, instead fooling Crocodile into thinking he was Mr. 3. When Mr. 2 Bon Curien came aboard the Going Merry, Sanji was not present, making him the only member of the Straw Hat crew whose identity was not known to Crocodile. When he and Usopp were going to save Nami from Ignale, he took a detour first to destroy the insides of Ignale's Ark. In Water 7, he leaves the group after finding Robin and is not seen until the Puffing Tom's departure. When everyone else was fighting 200 captains at Inez lobby, he went to close the gates of justice instead. In Punk Hazard, he leaves the group of Straw Hats in order to save Tashigi from Virgo. He does admit that he is not perfect. He convinces Usopp to let him fight Jabra because of the differences in their abilities. He admits that he was physically stronger than Usopp in terms of physical strength, that they both had things that they could not do and things that they could do, and because of that, they can help each other. Sanji is also able to think one step ahead, especially during dangerous situations, before anyone else, making him quite clever. An example would be when Nico Robin was captured by CP9. He somehow knew, or was able to deduce, that the agents were going to take Robin to the station. He was seen at the station hiding before the CP9 even got there. When the events go as he planned, he has a habit of saying, bingo. He is very amorous, constantly flirting with any attractive woman he sees, earning him the nickname Arrow Cook. In fact, he has claimed that Nami was 98.72% of the reason he joined the Luffy's crew in the first place. Since returning from the Shabayoni archipelago after 2 years on Momorio Island, Sanji's become even more perverted, making lewd faces when he so much as thought of a beautiful woman, primarily his crewmates Nami and Robin, and acting strangely when he got close to a, quote, real woman, causing others to question his health. He's also known to show jealousy towards others when their luck with women appears better than his. Example of this being his reaction upon learning that Luffy spent 2 years during the time skip on Amazon Lily, a nation primarily made up of all women, as well as his reaction to Momonosuke's continuously being around, allowed to go places that Robin and Nami, that Sanji himself would be prohibited to go. He has sworn to have never let a woman be insulted or injured while he can stand, regardless of how attractive or unattractive they are, even in life or death situations. This is often considered problematic in his fights, as he cannot attack female opponents, as he would rather die than hurt them, though he does not mean he will not resort to blocking their attacks, and even pointed a gun at Nico Robin when his status as a Baroque Horse officer was revealed. He even went out of his way when he sensed Tashigi crying, simply to protect her from Virgo, despite her being a Marine. All of this is apparently a result of a strict upbringing. Because of his chivalrous attitude towards women, he carries a grudge against any of them. He refuses to carry a grudge against any of them, no matter how they've offended him, and even sees the deeper meanings of their actions, such as how Robin appeared to betray the crew, and how Viola deceived him and even beat him viciously. Conversely, Sanji is very abrasive and insulting to many other males throughout the series. Sanji considers himself very handsome and charming, comparing himself to a fairy tale prince. So far, this trait has not been noted by others. He tends to be brought back sharply to earth by more cynical people around him, such as being called the Prince of Dumbass Kingdom by Zoro, prompting Sanji to attack him. One of Sanji's most prominent characteristics is his strong respect towards food and the preparation in the kitchen. Since food and sustenance play a critical role in maintaining life, he strongly believes that a chef's work must be treated as though it were sacred. Prior to being stranded on the rock with Zelf 9 years before his introduction, Sanji thought food was dispensable and tossed it out in any that it had gone bad. In fact, he was disgusted how his fellow chefs would eat leftovers from the customers. However, after being starved on a rock for a few days, he came to regret his maltreatment of food. As a result, he has a strong tendency to become hostile towards those who waste food or regard it as anything less than his respect for it. Thus, his habit of beating up anyone who steals food from the fridge, mainly Luffy. It has been dictated on many occasions that Sanji puts the quality of food before everything that is not vital, even his instant infatuation with any woman he sees. A strong example of this was shown during the anime-only GA arc, when he snapped out of his infatuation with Jessica after she questioned his culinary skills and demonstrated his superiority. But when she recognized the skills and told him that he was welcome in the kitchen, his infatuation returned. This is precisely why Sanji, in his first appearance, proceeded to beat up a Marine named Fullbody. He was also known to fully believe that anyone who wishes for food should be given food, be it a customer or a criminal, such as when he gave the starving Gin food despite the other chefs refusing to serve him. During his time on Momorio Island, Sanji showed his resentment for putting on a dress and losing his manhood. He bluntly declared to Ivankov that he is a man among men who was born to love the ladies and not be friends with them. To this end, Sanji resisted becoming an Okama for 2 whole years. After 2 years of living with only Okamas, Sanji was overwhelmed in the presence of beautiful women. When he saw one, he instantly became infatuated with them and put on an extremely perverted face. He was also plagued by uncontrollable nosebleeds, which alarmed most of the crew when he had a really massive one and flew outside the ship. As a running gag, when he saw the overwhelming beauties like Boa Hancock or Princess Shirahoshi for the first time, he instantly turned to stone, but recovered from the latter situation. He went back to the way he was around women prior to the time skip. Zoro addressed Sanji by his new nickname, Nosebleed, during the battle against the Fishmen pirates, something that usually angers him. When Sanji's heart was placed in Nami's body during the Punk Hazard arc by Trafalgar Law, Sanji was so overexcited by this that it angered Nami due to his perverted behavior. It also caused him to have nosebleeds while inside of her body. Since a young age, Sanji has a habit of saying shit or shitty when describing something. While the Japanese word for feces, kuso, is not specifically an expletive, Sanji's manner of speak makes the term sound brash. For example, when he calls a person he especially does not like a shitty bastard or something along those lines, such as his personal nickname for Zeph, quote, shitty geezer, unquote. But he also describes something pleasant to him, like being alone with Nami as shitty fantastic and the shitty best. In the Funimation dub, this habit is downplayed to swearing that is less offensive. Sanji appears to have some fear or aversion to insects. During the crew's search for the South Bird, he continually backed away from various insects in the forest to the point where he was afraid to touch them. Abilities and powers. Sanji is one of the crew's top 3 fighters, despite not having one of the top 3 bounties, which Robin takes. While Luffy and Zoro usually fight the strongest and second strongest enemies respectively, Sanji usually ends up fighting the enemy who is considered the third strongest. Although Sanji and Zoro would usually let their rivalry impede their fighting performances, they have shown to be nearly unstoppable force if they agree to cooperate in battle. Tactical wit and informational skills. Though he is one of the physical powerhouses of the crew, Sanji can be considered a skillful tactician if he needs to. This is particularly evident during the Alabasta saga, when he was responsible for both disguising himself as Mr. 3 and fooling Crocodile into believing that the Straw Hats were dead on Little Garden, and posing as Mr. Prince to get the Straw Hats out of rain diners in Alabasta. In the Skypiea arc, when he and Usopp snuck aboard the ship Maxim in order to save Nami, Sanji took a detour and destroyed the ship's main engine, which would have crippled the flying vessel had it not been for the backup engines. During the Water 7 arc, he went on his own and waited patiently at the train station in case Robin were to leave, with his instincts confirmed of her departure. Sanji left Nami a baby Den Mushi and a letter of his intentions. Although half of the letter was babble of his love for her, and even worse, the hiding place of the letter was very obviously marked with red paint, with large hearts for Nami and a threat to anyone not to read it. During the Inez Lobby arc, he took over the fight with Jabura and reminded Usopp that he was better suited to assisting Robin from a distance, while he himself was better suited to frontline fighting. And he later shut the gates of justice, giving the crew an opportunity to escape the Buster Call. Sanji also has a fondness for reading books when he was younger and knows very many legends, albeit mostly of the fairy tale-like in nature, opposed to Robin's historic recollection of legends. In fact, he has already heard of the legendary ingredient, the blue-finned elephant tuna, before he even saw it. And he is also familiar with the tale of Mont Blanc Noland through the book King of Liars, Noland. And through a book of devil fruits, he learned of the clear fruit, which, although since he had only an interest in that particular fruit, what else he knows of devil fruits is clearly unclear. Physical abilities. Although Sanji is primarily known for his incredible leg strength, the rest of his body is shown to be superhumanly strong and durable. including his arms, which enable him to do an array of handstands for his fighting style, which makes him a more versatile in certain combat situations. In an SBS, Oda states that Sanji's kicking power is, quote, 21 bats, the power to break 21 wooden bats in one kick. An example of his inhuman strength is shown during the Skypiea arc, while riding on the Going Merry, he's capable of lifting a large mallet that looked like it could have weighed several tons, though this is probably unlikely as it belonged to Usopp, and as such is probably none of one of his Usopp pound decoys, before using it to slam an impact dial that was sitting on top of a barrel. Needless to say, the impact dial would have most likely busted a hole through the Going Merry's deck had it not been absorbed by the dial. Another example of his physical might is seen when he was able to hold Absalom in place by gripping onto his leg, despite the latter's reinforced muscular structure and being struck multiple times while doing so. His upper body is also superhumanly durable, as he was able to take head-on attacks from Kurobe's fists and half of Jabura's Gekko Jishingen, just before counterattacking them with kicks. And along with Zoro, he has shown himself to be resilient enough to be able to take Bartholomew Kuma's Ursus shock attack head-on, despite having not just endured an exhausting battle with the giant zombie Oars, and still remaining conscious afterwards before being knocked out by Zoro. After his 2 years of training, his body has become much stronger and faster, being able to break the neck of a pacifista with one kick, critically damaging it and not showing any trouble afterwards, something he was not able to do before the time skip, or been able to break a sea stone cage with just kicks, as seen in the episode of Luffy. He is now able to withstand pressures of over 5,000 feet underwater without a coating, a depth that would have crushed a submarine. His overall endurance has increased as he is seen being able to take direct punches from both Jinbei and Luffy to the head, but from both simultaneously, with only relatively minor injuries left, though he was on the ground bleeding. Although, also during the time skip he spent running away from the Okamas on Momoirio Island, he developed both the Blue Walk and Sky Walk, techniques similar to Rikushiki user's technique Geppo, enabling him to swim at great speeds and fly, respectively. His new strength is shown when Sanji manages to fight on par with Virgo, a Marine Vice Admiral who could also fight the likes of Smoker equally for a short period of time, even after being wounded by the attacks from Caesar Clown and having one of his legs broken. His physical power is later recognized by one of the 7 warlords, Don Quixote do Flamingo, who was forced to restrain Sanji's movements after the Straw Hat member landed several blows and only suffered minor injuries from the warlord's initial attacks. Fighting style. Sanji has mastered a martial art referred to as the blackleg style that the pirate Zeph apparently taught him. His legs and feet are extremely powerful, able to smash boulders and effortlessly defeat creatures much larger than himself, like Bananawane and Momu. His legs are also imbued with superior agility, and his speed is close to superhuman, as he was easily capable of outpacing the super-fast member Khalifa, despite ultimately being beaten by her, though he stated that he refused to hit women. He also states that the reason he fights with his feet is he does not want to risk damaging his hands, as he needs them to cook, though handstands aren't prohibited. He's also able to use one-handed handstands and execute consecutive back springs, as seen during his fight with Jabura. After spending 2 years of running away from the Okamas, his sprinting abilities have reached the point where he can momentarily run underwater, using a Geppo-like technique called Blue Walk. Not only has he not slowed down by the weight of water, as shown during the Arlong Park arc, but he can also run to a degree of incredible superhuman speed as fast as a fishman. Usopp has stated that Sanji's speed is on par with a fishman, who are at their physical prime while underwater. He's also able to leap and run much farther than humans. He has improved this by using a version of Geppo in a move he names the Skywalk. Whether or not his proficient with this technique is on par with other CP9 members remains a mystery. Also, at the time skip, it's been shown that he can now utilize fire to strike strikes similar to his Daible Jamba. This is primarily due to the trauma Sanji endured for the last 2 years, so much so that simply reminding himself of it causes him to burst into flames through sheer anger. He demonstrated this by easily defeating the gigantic fishman Wadasumi, using hell memories while in this mental state engulfed in the foe in mass flames. This unusual martial art seems to take some inspiration from the Brazilian martial art capoeira, the Korean martial art taekwondo, and may have taken from the Chinese art of tantu. It also bears an identical line in name and style to the extremely powerful and dangerous to both user and opponent style bloodleg. Inspirations may also point to the French fighting style known as savate. Originally developed by French sailors, savate employs similar techniques that utilize the hands to support the body and give added power to kicks, and is especially useful on a swaying ship. French law at the time considered hands to be deadly weapons, which could lead to death if hands were used to kill someone. Possibly for this reason, Sanji's opponents, mainly throughout the series so far, were all martial artists with their own unique style, such as Kurobi's Fishman Karate, Bon Kuren's Okama Kempo, Wanzei's Ramen Kempo, and Jabura's Tekkai Kempo. As for using his actual attacks, Sanji has a very large number of specified kicks and techniques he uses to fight with. It should be noted that he does not call out the name of his attack when he kicks someone or something, but for important events or fights, he usually will. Most of his attacks are said in French, and are usually cooking or food-related in some way in a specific portion of the opponent's body that he is targeting, or the nature of the attack itself. In the 4Kids anime, the attacks were changed to be funny-sounding, non-existent food items to have something to do with the attack target area. Common attacks are the Muton shot. Sanji flips and jumps and kicks with all of his might into the foe's mid-region or head, and anti-manner kick course, one of Sanji's more powerful kicks, where he delivers a 180-degree vertical kick upwards to a giant foe's torso or neck, which usually is used for foes he sees who are having no manners, i.e. those that attack women. A finishing move. Sanji's comedic finishing move, rearrange shoot, is a series of kicks directed at his opponent's face. This results in a rearrangement of the victim's facial structure, turning them handsome or Bishonen-like, as seen with Wanzei and Duval. Daible Jamba. In the Ines Lobby arc, Sanji unveiled a new ability, Daible Jamba, the power to heat up his lower legs to a temperature so high that they glow bright red by spinning rapidly in place, which causes his attacks to be more powerful. Daible means devil in French, and is also the name of a kitchen tool, probably a reference to the sauce à la diable, a French spicy sauce. Jambe means leg, but the kanji reads Daible's wind. The aforementioned attacks have the word Daible Jambe preceding it. Example, Daible Jambe Flambrad shoot. The heat of his attacks are so high that contact even for a second can set a person ablaze. Sanji used this ability during his fight with Jabura, in which his normal attacks were not as effective due to his active use of Tekkai. With the high heat of his new ability, Sanji overcame this inability to smash through Tekkai by burning through it instead. Using the technique Firata Ashosha in Daible Jambas against oars, Sanji was able to effectively deflect his gigantic direct gum bazooka in order to protect Robin with a single kick. It is revealed during the crew's battle with a pacifista. It appears that Daible Jamba puts extreme stress on Sanji's legs. After several uses of the technique, Sanji himself comments that if he were to use the attack one more time, his legs would break. It is unclear at this point of time whether Daible Jamba itself puts stress on his legs, or the strain of kicking an extremely durable pacifista cyborg repeatedly. After his 2-year experience in Hell, Sanji's become strong enough to break the neck of a pacifista with a single kick, critically damaging it and showing no trouble at all. His tolerance against fire is also astonishing, which would make sense since he's a cook. This would explain why he's able to utilize Daible Jamba without showing any signs of getting burned himself, while his opponent gets incinerated in the receiving end. However, Oda states that it does not damage him because while Daible Jamba burns hot, Sanji's heart burns hotter. After the time skip, Sanji has become significantly stronger and his attacks much more powerful, as seen during his fight with a pacifista. Before the time skip, Sanji could only kick a pacifista once because another kick would break his leg, and it didn't do much damage. After his training in Hell, he can critically damage a pacifista with a single kick, which was strong enough to break its neck. Daible Jamba improves to the point where his entire leg is now enveloped in large flames. His Daible Jamba is now so powerful and hot that even underwater is able to scorch one of the Kraken's tentacles with the Bine Krut grill shot, severely injuring it. And later, as he was airborne with the Skywalk, he executed a new move called Pierre de Fleur Spectra, where he stomps his opponent repeatedly with high accuracy and speed, much to the amusement of Luffy and the others. Haki. It has been stated by Luffy that Sanji possesses Haki when discussing the context of the members of his crew who could fight Caesar Clown, a Logia user. Since Law was referring to the ability to coat themselves in armor, it confirms that Sanji as a Bushushoku Haki user. However, Sanji did not actively display any of these abilities until the Punk Hazard arc, when searching for Kuneman's body using Kinbushoku Haki. Although it's unknown if he can use it, Sanji does know how Shoku Haki, something he, along with the rest of the crew, have not shown any knowledge of during the first half of the series. He, along with Zoro, have commented on Luffy's ability to passively knock out half of Horty Jones's men, noting that he actually possessed it. It was hinted during the Fishman Island arc that both he and Zoro possessed Kinbushoku Haki when asked by Luffy if the pair could sense a wild animal in the Ryugu Palace, which they both answered that they could. Kinbushoku Haki. Kinbushoku Haki is Sanji's specialty concerning Haki. When helping Kuneman recover his torso from the lake on Punk Hazard, he actively used it in order to locate the samurai's torso within the water. Sanji seems to be really proficient using this kind of Haki, as he was able to perceive Tashigi being beaten by Virgo despite the long distance between them, detect a sniper at 16 meters at a 16-meter rooftop and act before him, finding 1,000 Sunny with some of his crewmates on board in the middle of the sea, or even telling people's true emotions the first time they meet, as with Kuneman or Viola. Hocho Sabaki. There's only been one time that Sanji has made the exception to his rule to never use knives or any other kitchen utensils or his hands in a fight, though this was a special case because his foe's armor was actually made of food, ramen to be exact, and they were fighting in a kitchen. Sanji borrows a pair of Wanzei's kitchen knives during the battle aboard the Puffing Tom. He has demonstrated excellent precision using these knives as if he were a skilled swordsman. According to Sanji, the way he performs this style is a first-class cook special Hocho Shibaki, literally meaning kitchen knives method. Elula Charge, meaning peeling skin, the only attack Sanji is shown while using this style, using a pair of kitchen knives to peel away his opponent's armor. Epulachage is the French cooking verb which means to peel skin away. This is first seen used against Wanzei's ramen armor. Chivalric Sense. Sanji has demonstrated several times that he takes chivalry to such an extent that he can sense when a woman is in danger, even when they're nowhere close being within earshot, such as when Brogy approached Nami in Little Garden, or when Tashigi was in tears after failing to attack Virgo. Culinary expertise. Last but certainly not least, Sanji is an expert cook, possessing vast knowledge and the capability of preparing almost any kind of food with a strong sense of aesthetics of cooking. He cooks with amazing speed and dexterity, particularly in his use of knives. His sense of taste is also not lacking. Often he was able to deduce the qualities of aspects, i.e. ingredients and method of cooking and preparation, involved in the prepared dish in a very short period of time. By the end of his 2-year time skip, it's been shown that Sanji has already won the 99 recipes of the Kamabaka Kingdom's attack cuisine as prizes for managing to defeat the Okama Kempo masters of Momorio. Attack cuisine. Attack cuisine is a special kind of food found only in the Kamabaka Kingdom. According to Sanji, the cuisine emanates a powerful aura and flavor to the one consuming it. It is said by Impriaro Ivankov that it builds up the physical side of the human body. He even vouches it for as the reason why the inhabitants of the Kamabaka kingdom have fit and powerful physiques. While attack cuisine is not denied to outsiders, and is in fact freely offered, the only people who have gone through the bride training and have become users of Nukama Kempo are told the 99 vital recipes of the attack cuisine. Exceptions to the rule may occur, as seen when Ivankov gave Sanji a challenge to earn the recipes. This challenge was to defeat the 99 Nukama Kempo masters, who are in possession of the 99 recipes while avoiding becoming an Okama. Sanji accepts the challenge and eventually conquered it. As of yet, only one of the 99 recipes has been revealed in detail. Hormone soup with sea pork. A large pot of soup made with pork and laced with hormones is able to rejuvenate the consumer's energy and strength. Other equipment. Usopp's salt ball special. Sanji was given these salt balls by Usopp during the crew's adventure on Thriller Bark in use for zombie attacks. He uses them to reveal Absalom's position after the zombie commander became invisible using the powers of the Clear fruit. He was also seen using a pistol during the Straw Hat's first confrontation with Miss All Sunday, but never seen using it. And that was the profile for Sanji. We got 31 minutes. It's looking good. Okay, so tune in next time as we look at the cute and cuddly doctor of the Straw Hat Pirates, Tony Chopper. If you like what you're hearing, link, comment, subscribe below. Got any questions, comments, or just want to talk One Piece? Leave them below. I'll get back to you. If you want to support the channel, just give a nice big kick to that like button, or kick one of those nice little advertisements that are spread out around this video. Or if you want to donate directly, you know where the tip jar is. Just donate whatever you want if you feel like it. So, till next time, this has been Shin Tiger Kuro, that dude in the straw hat, saying good day and have a shitty dinner.